In this video, we will discuss another topic that is coming in your first semester microbiology paper, anaerobic culture methods. In the previous videos, we have already studied different culture methods. It's just a continuation of that. We have studied different culture methods for mainly aerobic microorganisms. What are aerobic microorganisms? Microorganisms that require oxygen. So it is very easy to cultivate aerobic organism because oxygen is available. So by using normal method, we can cultivate aerobic organisms. So what about anaerobic organisms? What are anaerobic organisms? Anaerobic organisms are organisms that live under anaerobic conditions. That means in the absence of oxygen, sometimes oxygen is toxic for them, or some organisms, anaerobic organisms, they can tolerate the presence of oxygen or the small amount of oxygen. In some other anaerobic organisms, they are called strict anaerobes or obligate anaerobes. For them, the oxygen, a trace amount of oxygen is toxic. They cannot live in the presence of a very small amount of oxygen also. So, in order to cultivate anaerobic bacteria, we have to provide a proper anaerobic environment. That means the environment which is free of oxygen. The anaerobic bacteria differ in their requirement of oxygen. Some organisms are aerotolerant. Aerotolerant means that sometimes they may produce growth on the surface of aerobic plates. That is, but some amount of oxygen is not a problem for them. They can live even in the presence of oxygen, but they prefer to live under anaerobic conditions. But oxygen is not a problem, and oxygen is not a must for the growth of such organisms. They are called aerotolerant organisms. While some others are obligate anaerobes. Obligate means strict. Strict anaerobic organisms. That means I already mentioned, for some anaerobic bacteria, the trace amount, even 1 molecule of oxygen is a problem for them. They cannot live. That is, oxygen is toxic for such organisms. They are called obligate anaerobes. Obligate anaerobes means strict anaerobes. And they die even in the presence of very small amount of oxygen. So the complete absence of oxygen is required to grow or to isolate such type of bacteria. There are such bacteria that live under complete anaerobic conditions. They are called obligate anaerobes. While others are aerotolerant. They can tolerate the amount of or the presence of oxygen. Oxygen is not a problem for them, but they prefer to grow under anaerobic conditions. Okay. So, how we can cultivate such type of organisms? A number of methods are described for the culture of anaerobes. There are different methods, not a single method. There are different methods for the cultivation of anaerobic organism. In this video, we will discuss that. The first method and the simplest method is cultivate anaerobic organism under vacuum or in vacuum. Cultivation in vacuum. And this was attempted by incubating cultures in a vacuum desiccator. Vacuum desiccator. Desiccator means a dryer. Okay, vacuum desiccator. There is an apparatus called vacuum desiccator. After inoculating by any method, we have already studied different methods of inoculation by straight plate or spread plate or any method. We have to make a culture, make a inoculum on the surface of a suitable medium, and then you have to place that inoculated culture plate or inoculated petri plate under or in vacuum desiccator. So this will provide only by using a vacuum desiccator, we can replace only partial amount of oxygen. Not complete anaerobiosis cannot be made by using this vacuum desiccator. So only aerotolerant organism can grow under or by using this method. Not obligate. This method is not suitable for cultivating obligate anaerobes. This is simplest method for cultivating only aerotolerant organisms, not for obligate anaerobes. Then second method is displacement of oxygen with the gases such as hydrogen, nitrogen, helium, carbon dioxide, etc. That is displacement, simply a displacement, but it's displacing the oxygen. Here the oxygen is present in our environment. So we have to displace that oxygen by using another gases such as hydrogen. The most commonly used gases are hydrogen, nitrogen, helium, carbon dioxide, which is non-toxic gases are commonly used. That's why we are using hydrogen, nitrogen, helium or carbon dioxide. Most popularly carbon dioxide is used. Okay. Under this method, a popular and ineffective method, popular means very common, but ineffective. Ineffective means we cannot, in this method also we cannot achieve 100% anaerobiosis or aerobic condition. A popular but ineffective method is candle jar. Candle jar. What is candle jar? Here just a simple method, that is I think you have seen a bell jar, bell glass jar. In chemistry lab and other labs you have seen this bell jar. Okay, glass, it's made up of glass, and then this is used, and inside that bell jar a candle, a lighted candle is placed, and then the bell jar is placed over the lighted candle. So that is a method. I will explain the method. Here inoculated plates are placed inside a large airtight container and a lighted candle is kept in it before the lid is closed. Before the lid is closed, we have to place a lighted candle inside a jar which is already having the inoculated plates. Okay. Here it is a method under displacement of oxygen. Here the burning candle is expected to use up all oxygen inside the jar before it is extinguished. So before it is extinguished, it uses all the oxygen. For the burning we need oxygen. So during the burning it uses all the oxygen that is present in the jar, and then but it liberates carbon dioxide. Okay, but the problem is always some amount of oxygen is left behind. That's the problem. We cannot remove all the oxygen by using a lighted candle. Only traces amount of oxygen will be there always. The candle jar provides a concentration of carbon dioxide which stimulates the growth of most anaerobic bacteria. So for the growth of anaerobic bacteria, but a gradient of carbon dioxide or a concentration of carbon dioxide is required that stimulates the growth of anaerobic organisms. So this candle jar provides only a concentration of carbon dioxide that is needed for stimulating the growth of anaerobic organisms. So it provides only an environment for the growth of aerotolerant organisms, not strict anaerobes. For the strict anaerobes, here the oxygen will be there always. So it is not suitable for cultivating what type of organisms? Obligate anaerobes. Okay. The next method is the displacement of oxygen by using the chemical or biological method. We will discuss both chemical or biological. This is the second method, displacement of oxygen by using other gases. But under that, this is the chemical or biological method. The chemical used is alkaline pyrogallol. Alkaline pyrogallol. It is used for absorbing oxygen. This alkaline pyrogallol, the pyrogallic acid in alkaline condition. That is in NaOH, sodium hydroxide is an alkali. So it is used in the presence of NaOH, alkali. So at this condition, this alkaline pyrogalol absorbs oxygen. That is pyrogallic acid added to a solution of sodium hydroxide in a large test tube and which is placed inside an airtight jar instead of our lighted candle. Okay, instead of our lighted candle, in place of our lighted candle, they are using a test tube which is filled with the alkaline pyrogalol, that is pyrogallic acid in sodium hydroxide solution. So this alkaline pyrogalol absorbs oxygen, but a small amount of oxygen will be there here also, and it provides only a partial anaerobiosis. One problem of this method is a small amount of carbon monoxide developed during the reaction inhibits the growth of some bacteria. That is, a reaction produces some amount of carbon monoxide that will inhibit the growth of some bacteria. That is the problem of this method, and this method is not suitable for cultivating obligate anaerobes. Only aerotolerant organisms can grow by this method. Then in biological method, the anaerobic bacteria are being incubated along with aerobic bacteria or germinating seeds. Why? What is the specialty of aerobic bacteria, growing aerobic bacteria? The aerobic bacteria utilize all the oxygen for their growth and then produce a partial anaerobic environment. And the same case also in the case of germinating seeds. The same is the germinating seeds needs huge amount of oxygen for their active metabolism. So they utilizes most of the oxygen that is present in that environment and then produces some kind of anaerobiosis. So anaerobic environment that is suitable for some anaerobic organism. And both the methods are not suitable for cultivating the strict anaerobic organisms. Okay, these are the two methods under a chemical or biological method. That is the displacement of oxygen by using other gases. Chemical or biological method. In chemical method, alkaline pyrogalol or pyrogallic acid in alkaline condition is used. Then in biological method, for displacement of oxygen, the biological organisms like aerobic bacteria or germinating seeds are used. So all these methods are not suitable for cultivating obligate anaerobes. So here we will discuss what is the suitable method for cultivating obligate anaerobes. So we have to, if we want to, for the studying of the characteristics of anaerobic organisms, we have to isolate them. We have to grow them in lab condition. So there is a method, good method for proper method for the cultivating obligate anaerobes. That method is McIntosh Fields anaerobic jar. McIntosh Fields anaerobic jar. It's the most reliable and widely used method for cultivation of anaerobes. Okay, it is the most reliable and widely used method. It's the most important method, and we can say the only one method for cultivating obligate anaerobes, that is McIntosh Fields anaerobic jar. And it consists of a stout glass or metal jar. Okay, if you search in Google, you can see the structure of this McIntosh Fields anaerobic jar. It is not there in our lab, but you can see in most of the labs you can see this anaerobic jar. It's a stout glass. It's a stout glass made cylinder, or it may be metal. Stainless steel type is also available. Maybe a stout glass or a metal jar with a metal lid. Okay. The lid can be clamped airtight. The lid can be clamped airtight. The lid has on its upper side two tubes with the tabs. You can see two tubes with the tabs that we can open and close. Okay, on its upper side you can see two tubes with the tabs. That means we can open and close. The one acting as a gas inlet and the other as an outlet. So we have to fill some gas and we have to remove the oxygen. So we need two taps. The one is acting as an inlet and the other is acting as an outlet. Okay. The lid also has two terminals. On the lid we can see two terminals. Terminals means for the connecting electric supply. The lid also has two terminals which can be connected to electric supply because it is working under electricity. So we need some electricity only for starting the reaction. Okay. The electric terminals are connected to a palladinized asbestos that is present or which is coated on the groove present under the lid. Or under the lid you can see a groove, a small pouch you can see. In that pouch you can see a palladinized asbestos that is acting as a catalyst for the reaction. So the electric terminal is connected to this palladinized asbestos under the lid. You can see, if you open you can see that a catalyst you can see, a groove you can see, and in that you can say palladinized catalyst, palladinized asbestos kept under the lid in a small groove. The electric terminal is connected to this portion. So we can see on the top it is a stout glass cylinder or a metal cylinder. You can see two taps on the outer side of the lid, that is one is acting as a gas inlet and the other is acting as a gas outlet, and you can see two terminals for connecting to the electricity, and under the lid you can see a small groove you can see. In that you can see the palladinized asbestos which is acting as a catalyst. Okay, then we will check how it works. The inoculated plates are placed inside the jar and the lid is clamped airtight. Okay, you have to place your inoculated plates in the jar and then you have to close the lid and then clamp airtight. The outlet tube is connected to a vacuum pump. First you have to connect the outlet tube while keeping the inlet tube closed. Then open the outlet tube and then it should be connected with a vacuum pump and just evacuate. That's all the oxygen, all the air inside is evacuated by operating the vacuum pump. Okay, then it is closed. Then the outlet tap is then closed and the inlet tap is connected to a hydrogen supply. Okay, after closing the outlet tap, you have to open the inlet tap and then first connect to a hydrogen cylinder and then open the inlet tap, and then from the hydrogen cylinder all the hydrogen will be transferred to the inside of the chamber. So now the oxygen is, some of the oxygen is, or most of the air is evacuated, and then we are filling the cylinder with the hydrogen. Okay, then after the jar is filled with the hydrogen, the electric terminals are connected to a current supply. You have to switch on the apparatus. Okay, so that the palladinized asbestos is heated. This is just for heating the palladinized asbestos. By using electricity, we are heating the only after filling the cylinder with the hydrogen. We have to switch on and then it will heat the palladinized asbestos and then it is acting as a catalyst for the combination of hydrogen with the residual oxygen. I told by a vacuum pump we cannot remove all the oxygen. We cannot remove only some of the oxygen, but if any residual oxygen is there, the palladinized asbestos will convert or act as a catalyst for the combination of the hydrogen with the oxygen. If any hydrogen is filled with the hydrogen is full present in the cylinder, and then if any residual oxygen is present, it will the palladinized asbestos acting as a catalyst for the conversion of the combination of the hydrogen with the oxygen, and it is converted into water. So all the oxygen will be removed. 100% oxygen will be removed from the surrounding environment or in the jar. So the 100% anaerobias is created in the jar. Okay, so we can easily cultivate this environment is suitable for cultivating obligate anaerobes. Okay, and this is the only method for ensuring 100% anaerobiosis for the cultivation of obligate anaerobes. Then the drawback of this is the risk of explosion, because we are pressurizing, we are filling it with hydrogen. So there is a risk of explosion, and the risk can be eliminated by modifying the catalyst. The catalyst only creates the problem. So by modifying the catalyst, we can reduce the risk of explosion. Here, instead of the palladinized asbestos, we can use aluminum pellets. Aluminum pellets or alumina pellets coated with the palladium is used, not asbestos. Asbestos is having some explosion problem. So instead of this asbestos, we are using aluminum pellets coated with the palladium is used as the catalyst. So we can reduce the risk of explosion. So this is a very good method for cultivating obligate anaerobes. So it's a very important topic. It will be asked for your examination. So you have to study well. So we will discuss one more method for cultivating obligate anaerobes. These are gas packs. It's a very simple method. Now this method is a very common method, and it's the most method of choice for cultivating anaerobe or for creating anaerobiosis. The gas bag is commonly available as a disposable envelope containing chemicals which generate hydrogen and carbon dioxide on addition of water. It's a simple pack, small packs. They're having some chemicals in it. Okay, when we add some water to that pouch, then it will generate hydrogen or carbon dioxide. Okay, here the method is after the inoculated plates are kept in the jar, the gas packs enveloped with water added is placed. We have to add some water in that pouch, and then it is placed inside the jar and the lid is screwed airtight. The hydrogen and carbon dioxide are generated, and the presence of a cold catalyst in the envelope permits the combination of hydrogen and oxygen to produce an anaerobic environment. It is having this chemical, the pouch is having a catalyst. That catalyst convert, if any oxygen is present in the jar, that will convert the oxygen into water by combining with the hydrogen. So it will produce almost 100% anaerobiosis. Okay, we will get the same environment that as the McIntosh Fields anaerobic jar. It's a very efficient method and also very cheap method. Okay, and a commonly used method now. The gas pack is simple, effective and cheap. The gas pack is simple, effective and cheap. Okay, then for all the methods, an indicator is used. So we want to know, is the complete anaerobiosis achieved? For that we need an indicator for indicating the complete anaerobiosis inside the chamber. An indicator should be employed for verifying the anaerobic condition in the jar. Here the commonly used an indicator is reduced methylene blue. Reduced methylene blue is generally used for this purpose. That is, it remains colorless anaerobically but turns blue on exposure to oxygen. If the inside the jar is complete anaerobiosis, it is colorless. It is not having any color. But if any color is there, that's the presence of blue color indicates that oxygen is there. Okay. Then various other methods are also there for the reduction of oxygen. For the used for the reduction of oxygen. This include 1% glucose, 0.1% thioglycolate, 0.1% ascorbic acid, and 0.05% cysteine. Okay, these methods are also used for making anaerobic environment. That is by using 1% glucose, 0.1% thioglycolate, 0.1% ascorbic acid and 0.05% cysteine. Then thioglycolate broth and Robertson's cooked meat medium are used for the cultivation of anaerobes. Okay, for cultivating, the most commonly used medium used for the cultivation of anaerobes are thioglycolate broth and Robertson's cooked meat medium. I think you have studied while studying the media, different types of media. That I think what it is mentioned, thioglycolate broth and Robertson's cooked meat medium. Then one more method we have to study, that's the last culture method, that is the liquid cultures. Okay, liquid cultures, it is a very simple method and it is the first used method for cultivating microorganisms, liquid. That is the Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch, they were used urine or meat broth. The liquid media are called broth, B-R-O-T-H, broths. Liquid media are called broths, nutrient broth. The first used media are the urine or meat broth are used by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch. And the liquid cultures are mainly done in tubes or bottles of large flasks. The sterile medium in tubes or flasks may be inoculated by touching with a charged loop. The charged loop means the loop containing bacteria, or by adding inoculum with a sterile pipettes or syringes. The large inoculums can be employed in liquid cultures and hence this method is used for blood culture. The blood culture, the method commonly used is liquid culture method. Okay. Then the importance of this liquid culture is we will get large volumes of culture. If we want large volumes of culture, the only one method is adopting liquid cultures. But the negative point is we cannot use this method for isolating bacteria. By using liquid culture, we cannot isolate bacteria. Isolation is not possible. And also for preparation of vaccines and antibiotics, the most important method used is liquid culture method. So that's all about the video. Okay, it's a very important topic for your examination. Study well, prepare well, write notes on this video and then read the notes and then study. Okay, thank you.